17 suspects have been arrested in each of the last 4 government-sponsored police operations being conducted against the Gülen movement, also known as the Hizmet movement, which the government accuses of being behind a major corruption investigation that implicated high-ranking government officials after it went public on December 17, 2013, leading to suspicions that the government wants to send a message with these waves of operations. Most recently, 17 people out of the 42 who were referred to a court for arrest on Thursday as part of an Ankara-based investigation into alleged cheating on the centralized state personnel examination, KPSS, in 2010 were arrested, while 25 of them were released pending trial on Friday. The suspects were detained on Monday after the Ankara Prosecutor's Office issued a detention order on Sunday for 79 people in 29 provinces across Turkey. Teams from the Ankara Anti-Smuggling and Organized Crime Unit launched operations at a number of addresses simultaneously in the early morning hours of Monday, and dozens were detained in a new wave of operations in an investigation into allegations of cheating on the KPSS, a standardized exam used to determine eligibility for employment in public institutions. The suspects face charges of forming an illegal organization, leading the organization, forgery of legal documents and misconduct. The investigation was launched by Ankara Prosecutor Yücel Erkman. The Justice and Development Party, AK Party, has been launching successive operations against the Hizmet movement's followers or state officials profiled by the government as being close to the movement since graft probes became public on December 17 and 25, 2013. These operations are believed to aim at removing these probes, which implicated many high-ranking government officials and pro-government businessmen, from the public agenda. However, the government could not remove these graft probes from the agenda regardless of the steps it took to do so. The opposition parties frequently mentioned the numbers 17 and 25, in reference to the graft probes, during their electoral campaign ahead of the March 30 local elections held in 2014. Opposition Nationalist Movement Party, MHP, leader Devlet Bahçeli even called then Prime Minister and now President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, who was also among those high-ranking state officials implicated in those graft probes along with some his relatives, 17-25 Recep many times during his electoral rallies. In other words, these numbers, particularly 17, became a recurring nightmare for the ruling party. The fact that the number of those arrested in the successive government-sponsored operations targeting particularly thousands of police officers, who are constantly labeled by the government as being members of the Hizmet movement, was 17 did not escape the public attention. In all of those operations, dozens of people were detained without concrete evidence, but just 17 of them were arrested, which also happened on Friday in the KPSS alleged cheating probe. Apart from the example of the KPSS exam probe, a local court ruled on April 21 to arrest 17 of 29 police officers, including prominent police chiefs who were detained as part of an operation launched in Istanbul on April 13. Former Istanbul Police Department Organized Crimes Unit head Najmi Ard was among those arrested by the court on April 21. Similarly, 17 of 34 gendarmes who in early 2014 intercepted Syria-bound trucks that were carrying arms to radical groups were arrested by the court on April 10, while 15 were released pending trial. The Istanbul Second Penal Court of Peace, a type of court that was specially created by a government-endorsed bill last year and dubbed by the opposition project courts designed to pursue critics and opponents of the government, ruled to arrest the 17 gendarmes on charges of membership in a terrorist organization and attempting to overthrow the government. In another government-orchestrated operation on February 8 against the police force, 17 out of 21 detained police officers were arrested by an Istanbul court, while 4 of them were released early on February 15. Those 21 detained police officers had taken part in an operation against the allegedly Iranian-backed terrorist organization Tawhid Salam. SDDK Filiz, a lawyer representing some of the police officers who were detained in late July of last year on charges of espionage and accused of wiretapping then Prime Minister Erdoğan's phones during an investigation into Tawhid Salam, told today's Zaman, "When we examine the number of arrested suspects in the government-backed operations targeting particularly the Hizmet movement, most of them were 17. This cannot be accidental. This has made an impression that the government particularly regulates this to send a message to a certain group in order to take revenge for the December 17 and 25 graft investigations. Commenting on the issue, attorney Fikret Duran, who represents Samanyolu Broadcasting Group General Manager Hidayat Karaka, who was arrested after government-initiated operations targeting the managers of the Zaman and Samanyolu media outlets on December 14 of last year, said, "The political administration no longer hesitates to show symbols or indications of their illegal acts that they perform very openly in order to threaten or intimidate a certain group or groups because they, the government, think they are so powerful that no one will bring them to justice for their deeds one day in the future."